Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's second video. Going to have a look at weather next 10 to 14 days for today's second video. Day 10 is going to take us to the 20th of January. We'll be able to extend out beyond that and extend GFS and ECM ensembles because we're running a couple of weeks. So have a look at CFS V2 at the end of the video for the next 4 weeks, which will get us into early February. I shall get on that for you in a moment, but first, video is our 6 AM upload, so make sure you have a look at that if you have not yet done so. Please like, share, subscribe on the video. Thank you so much, everyone. For doing that. Right, going to start off with the central temperature event. So CT is continuing. It's a very gradual drop. We're now standing at 6.2, which is around 2.6 degrees above average. That's probably going to stabilise now for the next couple of days. So around Wednesday onwards, we expect that to start dropping again. And, you know, that's quite appreciably so once more, because we are going to get some cold, frosty nights. And if we begin to fog up, as I think we might do in the second half of the week, then daytime maximum will probably be quite cold as well. So, you know, that will stabilise for a couple of days, and then we'll continue to drop and fall into 5s, probably into the 4s by the end of the coming weekend. That 6.2 is provisional to the 9th of January. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. So looking at Cardiff today. So the red line is 30-year upper air temperature average for Cardiff. And we can see that at the moment the upper air temperatures are a little bit above average. And they're going to go a little bit more above average over the next few days. But remember, that's under high pressure, so we'll probably get inversion underneath the high, and so that could give us some quite cold and frosty nights. Beyond that, we see a drop in the upper air temperatures down to around average. And they just hover there, you know, through much of the period, actually. There are still several cold outlier ensemble members just here. Not as many of them as there were yesterday, though. There's plenty of mild ensemble members up here. Of course, we have got this very dramatic looking ensemble just there that is plunging into the freezer. That's ensemble member number 11, that's going completely over the top with cold weather, going down to nearly to -20 at 8:28 p.m. We might have a look at that at the end of the video just for a quick laugh. But you know, there's still some cold outlier members, or some cold members are not really outliers because there are several of them that go cold for a while around the just after mid-month. But you know, we have more, I think, now that are keeping it relatively mild aloft anyway, around and into around mid-month in the second half of the month. But a lot of those are anticyclonic, so could still be quite cold from frost and fog. Precipitation-wise, going to be loads of dry weather over the next few days. It will gradually start to get more unsettled, though, as we move towards the final week of January, potentially, but of course that is a long way off. But it does look really dry, actually, over the next week to 10 days, with barely any measurable rain across large parts of England and Wales. Temperature anomalies from the 10th to the 18th of January are around to a little bit above average, but I think this is underestimating the effect of frost and fog across England and Wales in particular. Scotland will be quite mild, though, on the northern side of a ridge of high pressure. Precipitation is going to be very dry from the 10th to the 18th of January. As I say, some places will get barely any measurable rain at all in the next week to 10 days. Latest wind from that from earth.nullschool.net shows we're still driving the area from off the Atlantic. It's relatively mild southwesterly wind as well, but pressure is rising to our south and east as well. This is how the UK Met Euro is looking for midnight on Thursday. High pressure will be well and truly dominating weather across Ireland, England and Wales. Around the top of that, you see how it's milder for Scotland as we draw in that southwest wind. The question for England and Wales and Ireland will be how much frost and fog do we get under this area of high pressure. If it's just a cloudy high, then there won't be all that much in the way of frost and fog. But I think it's going to be a clear high, especially, you know, for more southern areas, so that will have an increasing risk of frost and fog. As we go through to Friday, that high pressure actually, that high pressure actually extends northwards. So even into Scotland, we probably come into the frost and fog type scenario. But again, it's particularly focused on England and Wales with that. Really, we keep the high pressure going right way up to the end of the UK Met run, which gets us to midnight on Monday. Under that large area of high pressure, again, there will be further risks of frost and fog all the way into the beginning of next week. This could be a notably frosty spell that we've got setting up here. The icon model is looking like this again. High pressure dominates, particularly for England and Wales on Thursday, and then the high pressure tries to reach north as we go through into the weekend, but it's eroded by some low pressure out to the north north and to the northwest. Not for long though, the high pressure is back in again, you know, as we get through to Monday, 17th of January, back into that area of high pressure once more. I doubt it we ever get rid of the frost and fog down in the south over the weekend. I'm going to go through the GFS midnight run again. High pressure is well and truly in control of weathering loads of dry weather to most parts of the country through the rest of the week and into weekend. Find the high pressure going to pull out to our west, allowed a bit more of a northwesterly to move in from off the Atlantic. Could bring some showery rain with it, and you know, we're on the periphery of like a northerly blast that's going to be over Scandinavia and into parts of the Norwegian Sea. And then by day 10, the high pressure ridging back in from the west and the southwest once more, but we still have that trough of low pressure over Scandinavia. So Northern Europe again going to be really cold over there on the edge of a high pressure, but for us we just remain protected from all of that under this area of high pressure, but there will still be ongoing frost and fog developments, and that goes on into the more extended range as well. So real high pressure fest with this, the high pressure over the country slightly to our west, but for England, Wales and Ireland in particular, there will be that ongoing risk of frosty, foggy conditions. As well as being a notably frosty spell, this is probably going to be a notably dry spell of weather as well. The weather really looks like it's doing dry January, actually. By the time we get through to the end of the GFS midnight run, that's the 26th of January, just pull that high pressure out a little bit to our west and bring in perhaps a rather colder northerly wind. But the main cold with that is still going into Scandinavia with these troughs of low pressure. 6Z looks like this. So again, high pressure well and truly dominating, weathering loads of dry, fine, but potentially frosty, foggy weather from the end of the week and into the weekend. You're going to find the high pressure just beginning to pull out to west a little bit, starting to allow some slightly more showery air into the far north and west of Scotland. Kind of on the periphery, a bit of an northerly there on the 17th of January. The main blast going into Scandinavia and Northern Europe, of course, but we're sort of on the edges of that. Then the high pressure is back in as we get to day 10, bring drier weather into southern areas and also out to our west. But in the north, we begin to bring in another northwesterly, so perhaps a little bit colder, some showery conditions in the north and in the northwest too. But we never really lose the influence of the high pressure, even into a more extended range, although we do pull in a little bit of a northerly there around the 24th of January with this high pressure just centered out to our west. We bring down that cold northerly, but not for long. The high pressure back in across south once again. So for southern areas, it's going to be very dry. Could be some frost and fog. For northern areas, a little bit more unsettled, but even there, not desperately so. This is the 10-day accumulated precipitation forecast based on that GFS 6Z operation run. You see for many areas, Western Scotland is rather wet, so Western Scotland will be quite wet there with around 50 to 80 millimetres, but for most parts of the country, particularly Ireland, England, Wales, really dry, with some places not getting any measurable rain at all in the next 10 days, which is very unusual for January. Then we've got GEM. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the smash like button, make sure you sub to the channel. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. And drop a comment and something about this and all of our videos. GEM, again, showing high pressure is in control across Ireland, England, Wales on Thursday. Scotland is a little bit milder, though, with those south-westerly winds. High pressure dominates the weather as we go through into the weekend. And then just pulls out to our west a little bit, allows a bit of a northwesterly in on Monday, but most of the cold air, that cold shot, is going in Scandinavia and northern parts of Europe. We continue to be close to that area of high pressure all the way up to day 10, but always focused to our west and south with low pressure into northern, northeastern and central parts of Europe, and cold air digging southwards through there. And then we've got the ECM, looks like this. High pressure once more is in control of the weather at the end of the week and into weekend too. The high pressure fest goes on with a risk of frost and fog. Later on in the weekend, the high pressure pulls out to our west. We bring in a bit of a showery northwesterly into Scotland, but never really gets down to the south. The high pressure back in again as we get through into the early part of next week. So for southern areas, frost and fog probably goes on right way through the weekend and into next week as well. Probably all the way up to day 10, really, with this high pressure in control of the weather just over slightly to the west-southwest of the country. Scotland always milder with this, bringing those winds from off the Atlantic, quite cloudy, relatively mild there. Frost and fog risk continue though further southwards. This is the precipitation forecast based on that ECM run. There's not going to be much precipitation to see, so many areas looking dry. A bit of shower weather coming and going, mostly focused on the far north northwest, but many areas are dry and about area of high pressure for the next 10 days. These are the options that are on the table within the ECM ensembles today for day 10, which will get us to the 20th of January. 15 members of the ECM ensembles have high pressure over and to the west of the coast, bringing a lot of dry and quite cold, frosty, foggy weather, especially in the south. 14 with high pressure pulled out more in towards the middle of the Atlantic. Low pressure is digging down through northern Europe, and winds are in from more of a northerly, northwesterly type direction. 13 again with high pressure pulled out into the Atlantic. Low pressure in over Scandinavia, and again we have those winds coming in from a northerly to northwesterly to just about northerly direction. And then 9 with high pressure just to our west, low pressure to our northeast, and around that we're bringing in the winds from like a bit of a northwesterly direction. All options have high pressure in dominating. It's just where that high pressure is sitting. Is it over the country, slightly to the west of the country, and how much of a northerly do we let in? In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. This will get us to the 25th of January. 18 members of the ECM ensemble keep the high pressure fest going right over top of the country. 17 with a high pressure just to our west and southwest. Around that, we bring in the winds right slightly northwesterly direction. 9 with high pressure just to our southwest again. That brings the winds in from like westerly direction. That's going to be milder and perhaps a little bit more unsettled for the north as well. And then 7 just here. They're doing something very different. Low pressure dominates over and to the east of the northeast coast. So that's unsettled and quite cold as well, with winds in from a northwesterly direction, looking wet and chilly with those 7. Right, CFSV2, finally, so these are 500 millibar heights broken down into week periods. The first week period will take us from the 10th to the 16th of January. The coming week has high pressure right over top of the country in control of weather, bringing loads of dry and fine conditions. As we established, there will be a risk of frost and fog. And then week 2 will be the 17th to the 23rd of January. High pressure just pulls out to our west a little bit. Low pressure, Scandinavia, so very cold, wintry up across northern Europe on the periphery of that, bringing wind in like a northwesterly direction. So a little bit chillier, but not desperately cold, of course. Week 3 will be the 24th to the 30th of January. Again, high pressure in the middle of the Atlantic. Low pressure to our north and northeast. Again, we bring in the winds from like a northwesterly direction. So for northern and northeastern areas, there is a risk of a little bit of cold weather with that. And for the south, probably frost and fog risk go on. And then week 4 is going to be the 31st of January to the 5th of February with low pressure to the north, high pressure to the south. We're reverting back into a flat sort of zonal type pattern. Let's just have a look at that cold outlier, shall we? Ensemble member number 11. Remember, this is that's this gold coloured run just here. Remember, this is going to be an absolute outlier. It won't verify, but I can show you how ensemble member number 11 is pulling this off. So let's enable the hover. And we'll have a look, shall we? So, starting off as we are right now, the high pressure well and truly in control, and that carries on into weekend as well. And then the high pressure pulls out to the Atlantic. In comes this northerly wind, and it's this northerly that is producing that very, very extreme cold weather. It doesn't look overly dramatic. We'll have a look at upper air temperatures in a moment, but that produces like a real plunge in the temperature. And then we go into like a cold block type pattern with low pressure dropping southwards and winds eventually going into the east. So actually quite cold and wintry right the way through with ensemble member number 11. If you look at the upper air temperatures, that's how they're pulling this off. So in comes that northerly. Notice all this blue lurking up to our north, and down it comes. There's the plunge, and it's not very often you see the minus 20 Celsius isotherm plunging southwards on a northerly. Normally, minus 20 Celsius isotherm will be brought in on an easterly. If it does, it's very rare. In any case, but that's bringing it in on a northerly. So it was actually from a northerly, but it produced that very, very, very cold air on what would be like the ultimate northerly blast. I think that would be like the ultimate northerly blast, but of course it won't verify. It's a complete outlier, very outrageous, and so that is not going to verify. And then of course we start bringing in some cold air from the east, so bringing my 10 Celsius back in from the east with ensemble member number 11. What a run that was, but complete outlier and not going to verify. We may get a northerly, but I think with the GFS, most of us have backed away from that and are plunging a northerly into Scandinavia. We just remain under high pressure just after mid-month. But, you know, maybe they'll go back and we will pull in that northerly just after mid-month. In any case, there's going to be a lot of frost and fog to get through over the next week or so, particularly so down in the south. Right, if you enjoyed the video, please smash your like button, make sure to sub to the channel. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. And drop a comment. Let's know about this and all of our videos. That's absolutely amazing and incredible. Thank you so much. I should tell you coming tomorrow. I'm going to start off with 6 a.m. Upload. We will then, if that wasn't enough, have the EC 30-day forecast, UK and rest of Europe as well, extending out to weeks 5 and 6 too, of course, and a 10 to 14 day as well. It'd be nice if we had to start getting a few snow watches in, wouldn't it? Been a pretty poor winter so far. Snow watches, there's no sign, unless ensemble member number 11 verify. It says no sign that we're going to be able to do snow watch in the foreseeable future, I'm afraid, but maybe, you know, hopefully later on in January into February, we'll be able to do a few snow watches anyway. But for the time being, the wait for a proper snow watch continues. Right, you enjoy the rest of your Monday. We'll be back tomorrow with more. But for this video, that's all for now. And thanks for watching.